Hello everyone, welcome. Before we get into the video, I'd like to share some updates on the exhaust system. Here's the catback exhaust. I must confess that it was in much worse condition than I had anticipated. So there's the point I welded earlier on, got it wrapped twice to ensure its longevity. As we move on to the rear mufflers, we can see that the exhaust is pretty beat up. So here's the rear muffler, the one that had the hole in it. I got it covered with some thick galvanized pipe material, so it should last for a long time, even though the edges of the hole are already severely weakened. I plan to replace the catback exhaust sometime in the future, so this is just a temporary fix. And then moving on to the driver's side muffler, the one that got repaired earlier, still the same. I barely did anything on it. I just welded the tips. So that's that on the exhaust. Now let's get into today's video. In this video, we're going to be refilling the engine with oil. Start it up, get it up to operating temperature, and then if we don't have any coolant leaks, if all checks out in that department, we'll go right ahead to recharge the air conditioning system. So let's dive right into it. I wasn't sure the car didn't have any oil leaks, so I simply filled up with some inexpensive oil in order to carry out necessary checks. So with the engine refilled with oil, I guess there's only one thing left to do right now. That's to start it up. So checking everything right now. Everything's still looking good. Guess this will be a good time to check the level of the water in the radiator. Looks good. Yeah. So I guess there's only one way to find out. I don't know the mess in the vehicle. Still a work in progress. So yeah. So in it right now. Haven't started it in a while, so I'm hoping everything goes fine. Still have the issue with the speedometer not getting back to zero. So key in 3, 2, 1. Well, the old light has gone off. That's a good sign. Although we have a check engine light. The car sounds a lot quieter. The idle smooth. No funny noises so far. I added some gas to the tank, so that's showing on the gauge. That's good. So I'll observe it for a while, let the engine get to operating temperature, and I'll report back to you. We're still running. It's around operating temperature right now. I got the check engine light cleared. I think it was because I left the ignition on for too long previously. That was why the light came on. So everything's still looking good. So right now I'm waiting on the fans to come on and then shut off. So that's where we're at. Here we are under the hood of the Honda Accord V6. Everything's looking good. I can't see any leaks. The upper radiator hose is quite hot. The lower one is about the same temperature, so that tells me that the thermostat is already open. So right now we're waiting on the radiator fans to come on and then go off shortly afterwards. Also, I've been closely monitoring the temperature gauge to ensure the engine doesn't overheat. Let's get back into the vehicle. So that's temperature gauge. It's not creeping up into the red zone at all. Seems relatively constant. That's where it should be. Everything's looking good. Idling smooth. We still have very hot heat in the car. It's all looking good. So like I said earlier, I'm waiting for the radiator fans to kick on and then shut off. So there it is. The radiator fan just came on. I'm not sure you can see that. It's spinning right now. Yes. It's blowing real good. They just went off too. Yes. They just stopped. Because the cooling system performed very well, we're on to the next step, and that's obviously the air conditioning system. So here we are. I have my vacuum gauges set up and have my pump down there. It's recommended to have the air conditioning system vacuumed before recharging. So I'm about to do the vacuuming step right now. So go flip the switch and then run the vacuum pump for about 15 minutes and then turn it off and then see if the pressure changes. After waiting about 10 minutes, if the pressure doesn't change, or the pressures, the low and the high sides, if there's no difference, then I'll go ahead to recharge the air conditioning system with refrigerant. So vacuuming will be carried out right now. After running the vacuum pump for over 10 minutes, next I'm going to check the gauges to ensure that the pressures don't change. I'm going to observe them for about 15 to 20 minutes. Right now we have the low side reading about minus 27 millimeter mercury. Then the other side is in negative, the high pressure side. So after about 25 minutes, I'll come check that the pressure readings haven't changed. So if that step gets passed, then I'll commence refilling the system with refrigerant. Here we are after waiting about 20 minutes, checking the gauges again. On the low pressure side, we can see that the needle hasn't moved at all. And then the high pressure side, as we just saw, the high pressure side had moved. I spent a couple of minutes contemplating and eventually justified myself that it was the low pressure side that mattered. Silly me, I should have known there was a leak. All the same, I went right ahead to continue the job. So let's continue like there weren't any leaks. On the passenger side strut tower, we have the sticker on there telling the kind of refrigerant to be used in the system and also the recommended charge. So looking at the maximum and minimum figures, we have 0.55 kilograms maximum. So here's the plan. I bought 2 cans of refrigerant. Here it is. And then on this can we have the gross weight on there as 390 grams. I cannot really trust the figure on here, so I put the can on a kitchen scale and I got a gross weight of 367 grams. I got 2 cans. Here's the second one, 365. So obviously there's some slight inconsistency in the weight of the cans. So my plan is to empty 1 can into the system and then recheck the weight of the empty can so as to know the weight of the refrigerant that was introduced into the system, and then multiply that value by 2. So from look of things, I think I'll have just enough or slightly more than enough to fill the system by utilizing the 2 cans. So let's dive right into it. With my setup connected to the low pressure side of the system, I started the engine, turned the AC on, and then commenced the recharging process. After filling the system with 1 can, I took out the can and using my kitchen scale, I measured the weight of the empty can and I got 88 grams. So subtracting 88 from 365, we have about 277 grams. So multiplying that by 2, we have about 554. So I would say 2 cans should be enough for the system. So Right now the air conditioner is on. It's cooling a bit. So I'm guessing by the time the second can gets put in the system, we'll have ice cold air. So let me go right ahead and get the second can in. After getting the second can of refrigerant put into the car, I weighed the empty can and I also got 88 grams. So by the time we subtract 88 from 367, we have 279 grams for the second can. And then for the first can, we got 277. So adding the two, we have about 556 grams of refrigerant, which is extremely close to the maximum we read on the sticker. So I think we're good on the amount of charge on the air conditioning system. And by the way, it cools really good. So I'll call that a win. So back at the engine compartment, the temperature of the pipes while the air conditioning was working, this was slightly warm while this was cold, which is how they should be under normal operation. So I'll call the air conditioning system a win. So to wrap up this video, we're going to replace the cabin filter next. On this car, no tools are required. So I'll simply open the glove compartment, and then to the sides up here, I'm going to move the tabs so I can dislodge them. Before doing that, there is a small strut damper. So I'll need to take it out of its holder here, lift up slightly and then push towards the back that way to release the damper so that this is free to move. And then next I'll move the edges inward so I can release from the holds. Yes, just like that. The whole thing comes down. So basically all I was moving was pressing this inwards so as to release the two tabs, pulling inwards that way. So next, this right here is what holds the cabin filter. So push on the tabs on the edges and then pull out, pull inwards and then out. So once the two of them are released, you pull out the tray, having the filter in there. So I'm going to pull this out just like that. Yeah, so there it is, the cabin filter in its tray. Careful so you don't inhale any of these. If you have access to gloves, better to wear them. So take out the old filter and then toss it out. If your filter tray is quite dirty like mine, you may rinse it out so you don't have a new filter in a dirty tray. Comparing the two filters, you can see the difference is like night and day. So using a microfiber cloth soaked in some water, I wiped down my tray real good, although still some traces of dirt, but it's a lot better. So I'm going to reinsert it back into its slot right now, just like that. Just push it into place till the two tabs click. That's it, already clicked in there. And then lift up the glove compartment door. Just keep pushing till it goes past the tabs, just like that. It hangs on its own once it's in there. And then don't forget to reconnect the strut on this side. Snap into place, just like that. And then I guess we're done. Like I've been hinting earlier on in the video, the air conditioning system work wasn't a win. The next day I found some refrigerant leaking out. Stay tuned for the next video to know exactly where I found the leak. So let me know in the comments below, how would you have determined the leak without refilling the system? So we've come to the end of today's video. I hope you found it informative and interesting. If you did, don't forget to leave me a like. Also, subscribe if you haven't done so already. And to my existing subscribers, I want to say a big thank you to all of you for your support. Remember to share the video too, so that those that can benefit from it too won't be left out. In the next video, I'll show you where the air conditioning system is leaking, and then also would address the suspension system so that we can start driving this thing. It's been too long, so many weeks, and we can finally experience some VTech power. So if you're excited about that, make sure stay tuned. So fellas, thanks for watching. Have a nice day.